Hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope everyone's had a fantastic week. Everyone's doing fantastically well. Everyone's chilling, relaxing, having a good time, and everything prepared for a nice, relaxing weekend and all that good stuff. Of course. And we have actually a jam-packed stream today. I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna talk about Arsenal transfer news regarding Gyökeres a bit more because some random news have come out that apparently something interesting could happen regarding Gyökeres and he could come to Arsenal. Actually, then we're gonna tackle the upcoming game. We have tomorrow, early kickoff by the way, at Everton, against Everton of course. And there is many questions about that game that need to be answered, let's be real. Because Arsenal's injury crisis is no joke, let's be real. Especially, and we talk about defense in this regard. And that is gonna be a very interesting and very tough discussion because even though Mikel Arteta has conducted an interview and all that good stuff, we're gonna look into it as well a bit. There is still many question marks. Who's gonna be a right back? Who's gonna be the left back? Who's gonna be the center back next to William Saliba? So there are many questions that need to be answered. We're gonna look into that. Of course, we're gonna do our own starting 11, what we put out against Everton, of course. So there is stuff to discuss. So before we kick off, of course, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and get involved into the chat. Definitely would like to hear thoughts from you and everything we are going to discuss today. And even if we don't, let's be real. Even if we don't, because the more things we can discuss, the better. Let's be real. And we're gonna kick things off today with, as I said, Victor Gyökeres, of course. Who else if not big man Victor from Sweden? Victor Gyökeres. And apparently he is open to move to Arsenal this summer, which is quite fantastic news, I'm not gonna lie, if those are true, because I don't trust any of the journals, any of the ITKs, until the player holds up an Arsenal shirt during the transfer window. Not trusting anything, let's be real. Obviously, we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about transfer rumors. We're gonna discuss them about the player, whether I or you would like him to join Arsenal or not, how he could fit into the team. Would it be a waste of money? Would he be a waste of resources? Or can we get someone better? All that good stuff. But there definitely is not gonna be a hype that he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's gonna revolutionize the club, the system, the position and everything. We're just gonna look at it from still matter point of view, an objective point of view. I would like to think so to some extent and give our own opinion. But apparently Victor Gyökeres in talks has been quite impressed by the club's project under Mikel Arteta, which is quite interesting because that first sentence is very common when we hear about transfers, and that was the same thing about Calafiori, about Merino, about almost every single transfer we have every single player we have signed under Mikel Arteta specifically, because every single time we get some sort of a talk like Victor Gyökeres is open to a move to Arsenal. Another player is open to a move to Arsenal, is interested in moving to Arsenal, and all this stuff. And even after they signed, when they get interviewed and everything, we hear this person, this player, blah blah blah, player X, let's just put it that way, has been impressed by the club's project, what the club has built, how the project is developing under Mikel Arteta, which we hear all the time. So kind of cannot get too excited. One thing I am excited about is striker, because Šeško has gone almost dead silent regarding Arsenal. That I am super excited and happy about, because I don't want Šeško being near Arsenal. I want a proper player who already has proven himself in a big league as main guy, as he has proven himself on the big stages. He is basically good enough to play for Arsenal, and I strongly believe that Victor Gyökeres is. Šeško nowhere close in my opinion still. The Gunners also view that Swede is more obtainable than Alexander Isak. Well, that is nothing new, let's be real. Even if we went for Isak, 150 million. Like, get real. Genuinely get real. If we look at Gyökeres, 60 something million. Easy job done, especially given the fact that we have spent 105 on Rice, we have spent 72 on Pepe and players like that. feels like pocket change. And given the money we have wasted on certain players, like 35 on Vieira, 20 something on Kivior, 20 on Tomiyasu, 35 on Zinchenko, cannot lie, feels like a bargain, especially in this market where you could argue there are maybe three good, like top level strikers. Rest of them are there or thereabouts or a bit lower. Like top, I would say is Kane, despite the fact that he hasn't won anything. Well, yet I would like to think so. Lewandowski and Erling Haaland. Rest of them are top class, but not up in that category as those three at the moment, at least, right? So Victor Gyökeres is closest one to that. I would like to think so, together with Osimhen. And if we can get one of those, I will be super excited, because striker position is something that needed to be addressed at Arsenal ever since Aubameyang left. Let's be real, ever since Aubameyang left, and that was 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago. And we still haven't done that. It is long overdue. In the meantime, we have spent 45 on Jesus, 65 on Havertz. Even though he was signed as a midfielder, we play him as a striker. We now have signed another number 8 who we play at striker, which is Mikel Merino. We have seen Nketiah there and players like that. I'm not gonna lie, Victor Gyökeres is nice change of pace, especially given the fact that there's a huge part of Arsenal's fan base that actually want Victor Gyökeres. I'm not gonna lie. And yes, maybe this season he has maybe recently dropped off a bit, even though he's still scoring. He's still scoring on very high basis, I'm not gonna lie. Because if you look even recently, he scored yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, in the cup. He scored a penalty, right? It's a penalty, let's not get too excited and everything. But he has 43 games this season played, 43 goals scored, and he has given 11 assists, which basically means he scores a goal a game alone, and he even adds assists to that, which, if you ask me, is quite fantastic and very amazing in terms of his productivity. And that is something I really believe that Arsenal need, in my opinion. Arsenal definitely need a player who can go up top, take 2 touches, and then bang it in the net. Because that is something I strongly believe Arsenal miss desperately in that regard. That is something Arsenal need more than anything you can imagine. Because we have players that can distribute the ball, to some extent hold up the ball as well, but they cannot do anything else. Remember how we played against Inter Milan? Cross after cross after cross, 46 crosses, and nothing came out of it. Remember those days? That wasn't too long time ago, let's be real. And I think with having Victor Gyökeres there, if he actually plays like a proper striker, if Arteta coaches him as a proper striker and gives him the ability to play and allows him to play like a proper striker, I would say there will be chances, there will be goals, and he will be bagging. 100%. Given the fact, especially that, as I said, Sesko talk has gone hella quiet, which is quite fantastic. There are some rumors here or there, of course, about other strikers, right? But ultimately, I think Victor Gyökeres is the obvious option. And if we get it, that would be quite fantastic. There are also reports that last summer, by the way, Atletico Madrid wanted Victor Gyökeres, and more specifically, Andrea Berta wanted Victor Gyökeres. So it doesn't come as a big of a shock that all of a sudden with Berta coming in, our attention has gone from Sesko to Gyökeres. It's not a big coincidence, let's be real. There are also some rumors floating around that as much as Berta wanted, right, Victor Gyökeres, they offered about 90 million euros. It was rejected apparently, so they went and got Julian Alvarez. Obviously, at the moment that Atletico Madrid, nobody's complaining, they got Alvarez, they got Sorloth, and the rest is history, let's be real. So that is quite fantastic for them, and that is quite fantastic for us. And apparently, Victor Gyökeres is open to the move to Arsenal, of course, and the Gunners are set to open talks with Sporting after identifying the Swede as more attainable option than Alexander Isak. Let's be real, there's nothing to attain. There's nothing to identify. 150 million versus 65-70 million. That's more than half cheaper than Alexander Isak. Let's be real, there's nothing to identify. Because if you cannot get the man you actually want, because let's be real, we have 150 M's. We easily can buy Alexander Isak. There's no argument about that. The biggest thing is, would that be actually money well spent? That for me is the biggest question, because for the price of one Isak, we can buy a proper striker and we can buy a proper winger and still have money left over. We can buy a striker in Gyökeres and buy a midfielder and still have money left over and spend it somewhere else, including the sales we will hopefully gonna get, right? We can even buy 3 players for that money. So that actually is the smart way to do it. Because I've been very strongly adamant about this, saying this all the time, that it's not about how much money you spend per se, obviously within reason, right? But it's how you spend it. And based on the last 5 years, 800 million spent, it's very evident that about 300 to 350 million that we have spent on players, if not even half, 400, right? We have wasted, spent unwisely. Because most of those players, yes, for example, Declan Rice starts. Havertz starts, but he's not it, let's be real. Most of them are the bench players. And the worst part is they don't even get to play properly, because it's also evident that Mikel Arteta doesn't trust them. Whenever there are Arteta has this 11 he wants to play, and then he has about 2-3 players. At best, he subs on consistently, let's be real. And it's always player per player substitution, so Martinelli comes off, Trossard comes on. Trossard comes off, Martinelli comes on. And it's, if Jesus is fit, Havertz comes off, Jesus comes on. Rice comes off, Merino comes on. It's usually those type of situations, like White comes off, Timber comes on. It's usually those type of situations. And it's evident that he doesn't trust the rest of the players. So that ultimately leads me to believe that money is very well wasted. Kivior doesn't get a kick. Sterling doesn't get a kick. Well, Neto, the less than 7 better, obviously, just like with Sterling. Fabio Vieira, he's back on loan at Porto. So it is what it is, I guess. And I think that's why Andrea Berta also has come in, to actually manage the funds properly. And the biggest question is, why always the same buzzwords? It's like, how to say this? It's actually insane that whenever we are linked with player and we sign the player, we always hear, always something like this. He is understood to be impressed with the Arsenal project. He's being understood to convinced by the Arsenal project. He is convinced by Mikel Arteta for the dream and what he has done and everything. It's always the same buzzwords. Just basically take this sentence, right? Put in ChatGPT and then say this sentence in 10-15 different ways, keeping the meaning and the thought behind the sentence. Then press enter. It tells you 10-15 options you can say, and then you just put it on a tweet, you send it out. Oh, he said something new. But that's how the transfer business works. Fabrizio Romano genuinely does the same thing. He tweets the same thing about 3-4 times over about the same player, just saying the same thing, just with different phrasing. And everyone says, oh, it's about to happen. Everyone's on fire. Everyone puts them on the thumbnails, in a title, everywhere. But he has said the same thing he said last week, just added eye emoji, maybe changed a few buzzwords here or there, ultimately. That's what it is, but hey, I'm not here to judge. He gets his bag, he has built his empire. No pun intended, given he's from Italy and everything, but it is what it is. But this is quite fantastic to hear that Arsenal actually will be getting a striker, right? I'm not getting too excited because, let's be real, I want Gyokeres at Arsenal. The one thing why I'm not getting too excited, until I see this man holding an Arsenal shirt, I'm cool. I'm gonna get super hyped. I'm not gonna get over the moon. I'm not gonna get like that. But it's nice hearing these links, as I said. It's nice that Andrea Berta actually has managed maybe to knock some sense into Mikel Arteta that Benjamin Tesco car park football player is not the answer. That is something I'm very excited to see. Osimhen, it looks like it's not gonna happen because we haven't heard anything about him, but it looks like it's gonna be Gyökeres, and that is quite fantastic to hear. Now the biggest issue is, if he signs and Arteta still doesn't win anything, because let's be real, next year he's still here. As much as I want Arteta out, many people want Arteta out, many people want Arteta to stay, right? Give him one more chance, one more year and all this crap. If he doesn't bag, there are no more excuses. Because we have had seasons where we are 8 points clear, and we are seasons when we are trailing and almost caught up. This season there's a massive drop off. There will have seasons when we have had no injuries. There are seasons when we have had injuries. So ultimately, there is no place to hide next year, especially if Arteta will be given the money together with Andrea Berta. They signed the players that they want and need to some extent. Let's be real. There is no place to hide. Genuinely no place to hide. There should not be allowed any more excuses. The amount of excuses I'm hearing already to this day is quite embarrassing. So we'll see how this develops, but ultimately Victor Gyökeres to Arsenal would be a fantastic move. He is type of player Arsenal actually need, especially since we have this instance that if we cannot get through the low block, we tend to start to cross the ball. And Gyökeres at the end of the cross actually would be quite nice, I'm not gonna lie. Low cross, driven cross, whipped cross over the top, on the ground, doesn't matter. I think he will be good enough to get at the end of it, and he definitely is gonna bag some very nice goals. Quite a few goals, I would like to think so. I would like to think so. Obviously, time only will tell whether we're gonna sign him or not, and if we sign him, if he's gonna bang or not. But having Victor Gyökeres at Arsenal definitely would be quite fantastic to see as an Arsenal fan. Anyhow, moving on. According to Defensa Central, not sure how reliable they are, or are they reliable or not, because we are just talking about the player specifically here. Martin Zubimendi. Obviously, in February, we got told by Sam Ogbel, first one to break the news, and all this crap, right? It's done. He's joining us in the summer. It is done. It is dusted. Zubimendi joining Arsenal in the summer. Fast forward to March, 1 month or so after that point he put it out. Arsenal are interested. Zubimendi is open to the move. Arsenal are about to go. And then all of a sudden, Real Madrid are ready to hijack. And all this stuff. But I thought it was a done deal. So that's why you cannot believe these people who say these things, genuinely. I'm not gonna lie. When Defensa Central came with this out suggesting, because obviously we don't know if it's true or not, that Zubimendi would prefer to join Real Madrid this summer, but recognizes that Arsenal are making more effort to sign him, makes a lot of sense. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe that's why it's been put out, because it makes a lot of sense. Personally, I don't think Zubimendi is the answer for our number 6 role, right? That's my personal opinion. Whether that aligns with your thoughts, with Mikel Arteta thoughts, doesn't matter. To some, let's be real at the end of the day. But for me personally, he is not the guy. But anyways, we digress. The thing is, Martin Zubimendi last summer rejected Liverpool. Zubidu, where are you, and everything. Don Hossam is saying enemy for life. Zubimendi, you have gone enemy for life, and all this stuff. They're putting out songs and he rejects them, right? And now recently, obviously, Arsenal done deal and everything, then it gets turned on its head saying that Arsenal are just interested, Zubimendi is open. So ultimately, contradicting each other all along the way. Let's be real, throughout the whole season. But now that Real Madrid are ready to hijack the deal, there are reports coming out apparently that Zubimendi would prefer to join Real Madrid, which, if I'm looking this from, I don't know how to say, my point of view, my personal point of view, makes a lot of sense. Because he's staying in Spain, he doesn't have to move anywhere, and if you are one of the top dogs in La Liga, right, and you don't play predominantly for Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid or Barcelona, you're gonna do it eventually. Because those 3 teams mostly get the cream of the crop from the other smaller clubs. Just like Bayern Munich has done in Bundesliga, they have done it to Borussia Dortmund over the years and other teams. Same goes for Italy, same goes for Ligue 1 to some extent, and obviously same goes for Premier League. Maybe not including Arsenal, but the same way it goes. So Zubimendi staying in Spain, given the fact that he has rejected Liverpool a year ago, he shouldn't have to move anywhere, same country, same culture, same language, just plays for Real Madrid. And including the fact that Real Madrid fans, and Real Madrid as well, are not the biggest fans, according to rumors, of Chouameni. Makes a lot of sense all of a sudden for me personally. Because he would be available for much less than they're gonna sell most likely Tchouaméni for, first of all. And he actually would be quite fantastic for Real Madrid to some extent. Zubimendi and Camavinga next to each other would be quite interesting to see. Tchouaméni is playing center back, so maybe he's gonna stay, but ultimately, for me, Zubimendi staying in Spain makes much more sense than him coming to Arsenal. And when I read stuff like this, when it says, I'm gonna get to the chat in a second. Leave your thoughts down in the chat as I'm mumbling through this, right? But if I read this and it says Zubimendi would prefer to join Real Madrid this summer, but recognize that Arsenal are making more effort to sign him, it's basically like a situation where you are standing, like you have a decision to make in your life, right? Either you move, let's just say you are changing jobs. You go to work for a job that is basically 20 minutes from your home, right? Same, you are comfortable, same city, same accommodation, same same neighbors, same people. Sorry. Same people around, same salary. And you are comfortable. Or you have to move to a completely different city, complete change of culture. You're gonna get the cultural shock. You'll have to learn everything from nothing pretty much. And you'll get the same salary most likely you're gonna get at the job, which is 20 minutes from your home. You bet your sweet ass I'm picking the job I'm gonna be 20 minutes from my home. Why the hell would I travel, let's just say, half the world to the same job opportunity, which basically gives me nothing more? Especially given the fact that if you are at Real Madrid, you are pretty much guaranteed trophies. At Arsenal, especially under Mikel Arteta, who has won 1 in 20 available trophies to him pretty much, or something about, you are guaranteed jack squat. Why would you? Oh, it's an opportunity. Screw the opportunity. Zubimendi is not 20 anymore. He also needs to think about his legacy, his career, staying close to family, friends, everything. For me, Zubimendi to Real Madrid makes perfect sense. 10 times more sense than him coming to Arsenal. And as I say this, I have put my biasness that I don't want Zubimendi at Arsenal aside. I'm just saying this from a human point of view, how I see it, how I would do it. If I was in Zubimendi's shoes, without shadow of a doubt, I'm picking Real Madrid. Even if I take the trophies out of equation, right? As much as they are the most important thing to some extent. Why would I travel half the world to a different place where I know nothing about and get paid the same, do the same job compared to a job that's 20 minutes from my home, pretty much? I would stay here. Why would I travel anywhere? Makes no sense to me. Big up, Pepper. Big up, big up, big up. I'm just glad you dropped by. I'm genuinely just glad you dropped by. Big up, Pepper. Big up, Nathan, as well. Bro is terrified of English food. I don't know if he's terrified of what, but him moving to Real Madrid for me makes 10 times more sense than moving to Arsenal. I'm just gonna put it that way. I'm not gonna lie. Anyhow, other news, which is according to Code Offside. We all know that Code Offside cannot be trusted to many extents. Let's just put it that way. I want to stay unbiased in this regard, but hey, it is what it is. And Arsenal and Liverpool are both competing to sign Eberechi Eze, who would be available for 60 million due to a release clause in Crystal Palace's contract. Which is also music to my ears, because Eze obviously ex-Arsenal and everything. He wants to rejoin Arsenal and everything, right? So the biggest question is, and this is I'm putting for you in the chat, question for you all. If I put now 60 million on the table, and you have to choose, right? Mateusz Cunha or Eberechi Eze? Who are you picking? Because we have been linked with both. Andrea Berta knows Mateusz Cunha. He signed him to Atletico Madrid, sold him to Wolves and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But if you had to choose right now, on the spot, Eze or Cunha, who are you picking and why? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Because personally, I'm picking Eze. As much as I liked both of them potentially for Arsenal's number 10 role, I'm picking Eze. I'm not gonna lie, I'm picking Eze. And it's not just because of English quota or stuff like that. I just think he would fit in Arsenal a bit more. Let's just put it that way. He's a very good, very talented player. He has those flashes of brilliance at times, just like Mateusz Cunha. So very similar to some extent, but very different in many extents as well. So for me personally, Eze or Cunha, yeah. Eze or Mateusz Cunha. I'm picking Eze. I don't know. If I have to choose 60 million on the table, I'm picking Eze. I'm picking Eze right now. Yeah, Eze over Cunha. See, Pepper also would take Eze over Cunha. I totally get that. And it's nice to see that someone agrees. But ultimately, for me as well, one of the top things to add to that, I'm not gonna lie. If Eze signs, I'm benching Odegaard. Or putting Odegaard in an 8 role. I want to see what Odegaard does in an 8 as well. And for me, Eze as a number 10 seems more suitable for that 10 role than Martin Odegaard. Because one thing that we are missing, well, two things, we are missing from that 10 role is directness and shots on goal and goals, obviously. And right? And Odegaard, given that he's pillow foot, cannot hit a barn door, and he's basically a shadow of himself for the last year and a half, pretty much, compared to what he was in 22-23 season. Put Odegaard in the 8, put Eze in the 10, and see what happens. See what happens. For me, that makes a lot more sense. Cunha has a superstar ego, but not a superstar talent. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, genuinely. Cunha tries to score directly from every corner. It must be jarring. Well, done it before, just like Douglas Luiz. It might be a Brazilian thing, you know. Who knows? Right? Neymar did it as well. Instantly scored Olympico for Santos. So who knows how that is going, obviously. So, time will tell. But if I had to choose, I would pick Eze 100%. Let me know if you haven't already what you think. Eze or Cunha? Let me know down in the live chat. And as Pepper is mentioning this, AI declared Mikel Arteta, kid you not, declared Mikel Arteta best looking manager in Premier League. If I can find it. Where is it? Here it is. Mikel Arteta, apparently, on being ranked highly by AI for the best looking manager in the Premier League. So my mom and dad should be very proud of the job that they did. We're gonna get to Arteta's pre-match interview in a second, right? But ultimately, what a load of bollocks people ask in these conferences. Pre-match press conference, game against Everton. Injury crisis in defense, pretty much. We don't know what's gonna happen there. We don't know what's gonna happen with the team against Real Madrid. And we get to ask questions like this. Like, what are we doing here? Like, seriously, this club is shambles. And the fanbase doesn't help. Because they have a song about Mikel Arteta. Best looking Spaniard we know, there's a banner in the Emirates and all this crap. Like, what the hell I'm actually seeing? Yeah, and remember Jorginho smacking one in at Villa Park. Don't make him a good ball striker. Yeah, Jorginho smacked one off the bar, hit Martinez on the head and it bounced in. Like, what's its face? El Neni scored a banging long shot every single year. Once a year, but he did it. Doesn't make him a baller as well. These journalists are just laughing up and these... Definitely. Most likely, they're, as you know, they're scanning for the questions before the press conference, right? And they definitely had to choose between Mikel Arteta being asked, how is he overtraining players and what he's doing in the training that everyone gets so injured all the time and everything, or somebody's asking, why the fuck you haven't signed a striker, right? In the recent times, or defense, how you gonna play and everything. They just put these questions instead. Your thoughts on being the best looking Spaniard, best looking manager in Premier League. Like, what the hell is that? Was randomly thinking about Mandzukic today. Streets won't forget, yeah, Mandzukic, Juventus. Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, that bicycle kick for Juventus against Real Madrid and everything, just good old days. Let's just put it that way. Good old days. Mario Mandzukic. Just like Miroslav Klose, for example. Lukas Podolski. Giuseppe Rossi, by the way. Remember that guy for Villarreal, Fiorentina? Obviously ridiculed with injuries, but still. Same goes for Nilmar and everything. Yeah. Berta signed all of them. Mandzukic, Diego Costa, David Villa, Luis Suarez. Yeah, Luca Toni as well. Underrated as hell, Luca Toni. Only Arteta skeptics see these things as they're real. Yeah. Well, maybe not, but this is kind of nuts. Papi Cisse, Dembaba, and all these guys. There have been lots of striker ballers. Lots of them who have been somewhat underrated. Jermaine Defoe, if you want to add. Yeah, Mandzukic and Griezmann in the same window. He signed Griezmann for 20 million. That was from Barcelona. I need to think back. I know it was still 20-30 million he signed him for. That was genuinely stroke of brilliance. But yeah, this is just utter disgrace, by the way. Utter and total disgrace. Now, we looked at Gyökeres, we looked at this. We looked at Zubimendi. We're gonna talk about Ben White in a second. But this is the thing. This is the big thing before we get into the interview. Into pre-match interview. This apparently is the potential 11 players that Arsenal could let go. Or sell, as it says. As many as 11 players could leave the club to help boost their spending power this summer. So first things first. Neto is on loan. Why the hell is he Spanish, first of all? I have no idea, because he's Brazilian the last time I checked. He was Brazilian in Juventus. He was Brazilian in Valencia, if I'm not mistaken. He's Brazilian, for fuck's sake. And even for Bournemouth. Sterling, loan. And Tavares is going out because it's a buy obligation. They're going to trigger it. Tierney is leaving for free. Jorginho is leaving for free. Partey is leaving for free. So that basically leaves at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 13 players and 7 are left. Instantly, 7 left. Zinchenko, I think we can get about 25-30 million. I would hope so. Kivior about 20. I can see that. Lokonga maybe 15 if we push the luck. Nelson. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano tweeted today that Nelson in summer is gonna leave again. Whether it's gonna be loan or whether it's gonna be a sale. Fuck knows, let's be real. Fabio Vieira, nobody knows what's gonna happen with him when he comes back from loan. Nobody knows. Trossard, well, one of them has to go. Trossard and Martinelli, one of them has to go. And Trossard, giving his age, is in that level, could be the one that goes. And Tomiyasu, he's out till the end of this year. How are you gonna sell him? How are you gonna sell Tomiyasu if he's out till the end of this year? Make it make sense. Yeah, Arteta gave him Spanish passport. I say keep Fabio if we get Zubimendi. Then finally try him as a traditional 10. Zubimendi rise double pivot. Could work. I can see that working to some extent. But Arteta is also not playing double pivot, is he? He's gonna use still Declan Rice as a box-to-box mid, which gonna leave Zubimendi exposed. Because defensively, he definitely is not that solid as people want to make it out to be. For all the PR and all that crap. That they try to push and everything, said that Zubimendi is the best thing since sliced bread. So for me, just put Rice in a 6, Odegaard in an 8, then sign Eze or Vieira in the 10 and see what happens. Maybe something happens. Or put Vanjeri in the 10. Keep Tierney. Cannot keep Tierney. Tierney apparently already has signed pre-contract with Celtic. He's leaving 100% in the 1st of June. 1st of June, yeah, he is already 1st of July, he's already gone. He already has signed with Celtic, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, We definitely is not staying, so I guess it is what it is. Anyhow, anyone's hungry? Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I would keep Tierney as well. I generally would keep Kieran Tierney as well if it was up to me. But I think Berta came in a bit too late. I think the only way we could have kept Kieran Tierney was if Arteta was gone. If Arteta was sacked, I think that would be the only option as how Kieran Tierney would stay. I genuinely believe so. And since he's not getting sacked until at least till the end of next season, or maybe mid-season if he totally screws it up, not gonna happen. Arteta out. The only way this team changes if Arteta changes, but we all know exactly. Big up. I'm gonna call you EV. Big up EV. The only way the team changes if Arteta changes, but we all know he won't. Exactly. That is one of the biggest issues. The clown only changes things when when his back's against the wall. Yeah, he basically changes things when shit hits the fan. And the worst part is, when he does those changes, half the time they make no sense. They look like genuine panic changes in spur of the moment when he goes and looks at things and makes, well, this could work. If it doesn't, well, at least I gave it a try. It looks like I'm trying. It looks like I did something. And probably media is gonna eat it up. Oh, look, he's a visionary. He tried this new role. We could see him playing in this new role in the near future. And all this stuff. They're gonna push some sort of different narrative. Arteta is very stubborn. Have you noticed that, for example, he started at Arsenal playing 5 at the back, well, 3 at the back, and he hasn't gone back to it ever since? He started to play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. We don't play 4-2-3-1 as well anymore. We predominantly play 4-3-3, which obviously interchanges during game into 4-4-2 and 5-4-1 and all that crap. But we don't use double pivot in 4-2-3-1 anymore, which I think could be very effective against Real Madrid. Because that 4-2-3-1 could very nicely shift into 4-5-1 and then 5-4-1. And he doesn't change the system. He does it in basically in massive bits. He changes one season, he plays like that. 8 points clear, PTSD, changes to complete defensive situation / control, right? Last season, didn't win it. Again, this season, more defense, more control, less attack once again. And he changes so massive, he doesn't have any balance. He basically goes from one end of the spectrum in total attack to the other end of the spectrum, complete defense. There is no balance in the team. And whenever we go on a counter, we slow it down, we pass it backwards, let the other team set up their park the bus mid-low block, and we never do anything once again after that. Everyone's back, we cannot again break through. And it's always like that. Even against Fulham, 2-0. Martinelli is running on a counter, 86 something minute, right? Running on a counter, Mikel Arteta is screaming at Martinelli, why the actual F you're going forward? Get back, keep the shape, keep the form, keep the formation going, and that's it. Don't even go forwards. Bukayo Saka, how many times in interviews has said Arteta wants his attackers to defend first? Make it make sense. It's no wonder that in attack we are kinda useless, because we spend all of our energy defending. And you would think that after 300 million spent on left backs, center backs, like billion goalkeepers and everything, you wouldn't need your attackers come back to the defense to help it out. Oh, but yet we do. Oh, but we have best defensive record in the league. So what that we do? Does that help us scoring? Does that help us win the league? We are 12 points behind Liverpool. No way you can't play Zubi as a lone 6 in Prem. He's registered. Exactly. He's gonna get bulldozed over by Rodgers, by McGinn, and all these guys. Like, he comes up against Jimenez from Fulham, he's gonna genuinely steamroll him. Like in cartoons, you know when someone rides a bulldozer and you just a wet spot like a pancake like on the ground? That's what's gonna be happening with Zubimendi if he's a lone 6. Zubimendi is great at controlling tempo, but that's Odegaard's role, so Odegaard will have to adapt. I don't think so. I don't think Mikel Arteta is gonna push for that, even though Odegaard already drops into those 8 roles and everything, or drifts out wide to the right wing to get the ball more to control the game. Why not start him in the 8? Put him on the 8 role so he can help out Martinelli on the left. Put Eze or someone in the 10 or Vanieri, let him work with Saka so we have more directness, more forward movement in the attack. 100% you will see completely different attacking style from Arsenal, which will be more dangerous than we are seeing right now, and for the whole season, to the matter of fact. Yeah, he never changed the system because he has plan A. Plan A, that's it. When plan A doesn't work, shit hits the fan, deer in headlights look in Mikel Arteta's eyes, and we're done. Plan A didn't work against Inter Milan. What we resulted to? 46 crosses. Plan A doesn't work against anyone. What we result to? Corners and crosses. That's all we have. All we have. And it's not a coincidence that Gabriel is injured. He's overplayed. No rotation. He plays full 90 almost every single game. When even we are 7-1 up. When we second leg against PSV means nothing pretty much. Plays full 90. Plays him against Preston, against Bolton and teams like that. We are 5-1 up. We are 4-1 up in 60th minute. Doesn't take Gabriel off. Only reason why he keeps Gabriel on the pitch is because he is our most dangerous man on corners. And we are getting fair share of corners during games. Let's be real. We haven't scored one for some time, right? Ultimately. We have one recently, but overall, since it's been quite a while, right? But Gabriel arguably stays on the pitch when even we are 4-3-0 up for the sheer purpose that when we get a corner, we have a potential danger man up there. Because Havertz is not good enough in the air. Saliba apparently cannot score a goal. Declan Rice, he takes a corner, so God knows, and everything. Like, nobody's there. Conversations need to be had. If Odegaard can't play as a central 10 in the block, then ship him off. That's the thing. The role number 10 has died pretty much to some extent. The last out-and-out number 10, I would say, was Mesut Ozil. Because football these days requires you to play multiple positions, run a lot, and to press a lot. And then everything comes afterwards. And Ozil was against that, and everything. The 10 role as a lone 10 specifically, like Odegaard, like Ozil, that role has died out these days. Because they are not number 10s anymore, like Wesley Sneijder, like Kaká, like George Hagi, like Riquelme, players like that. There's not those type of roles anymore. These days, if you are a number 10, you need to know how to be a number 9 because you are shifting around. You need to know how to play on the wing, and you need to know how to play in an 8. Because these days, football, as systematic as it is, you need to know multiple roles. And it's a big travesty. Because I'm a very strong believer in the fact that there are certain positions on the field, on the pitch, where you need specialists in. Like, for example, Gabriel and Saliba. Specialists at center back. You don't see those guys playing left backs, number 6s and everything. Your number 6 needs to be a specialist. Like Thomas Partey. Why the fuck is he playing at right back? God knows. Right? And then you need a striker who is a specialist, not a number 8, number 10, winger, whatever. You need a striker as a specialist. You need the spine of the team. Striker, midfield, both center backs, and obviously a goalkeeper, in my opinion, to be specialists in their specific regions. Then you can kind of put in some other players who can play multiple roles so they can interchange between each other. But you need to keep a core for the team together. Because that back line, that spine of the team is your skeleton, which the team is built upon, pretty much. The era of having a system built around managers needs to end. We need managers that can adapt to the players that he is given. That's the only way to improve players. Exactly. Because ultimately, Mikel Arteta doesn't sign players for the players. He doesn't sign players and adjust his system to fit the players he has signed to elevate their strengths and hide their weaknesses. He signs players to fit his system, and for him that system is unchangeable, unadaptable. It is one way and that's it. We have seen this throughout the whole season this year and even last year. Like, that is one of the biggest things. One of the biggest issues at Arsenal. Because we never seen Arsene Wenger play Patrick Vieira as a right back. Thierry Henry never played left wing back. Pires never played left wing back. Ljungberg never played right wing back. Jose Antonio Reyes, may he rest in peace, never played right wing back. You never saw someone like Edu play at striker or something like that. They had their roles, they knew what they have to do, and they did it at the end of the day. Let's be real, they did it. There were no questions about it. And that is one of the biggest issues with Mikel Arteta. If we take away the inexperience, well, he cannot say that. He's been at the job for 5.5 years and all that crap. But this thing is one of the biggest issues with Mikel Arteta. He has a system and he signs players to fit his system, not adjust the system to fit the players he's getting. And that is one of the biggest issues at Arsenal in general, when you give a manager that much power as you gave to Mikel Arteta, and Arsene Wenger is a bit of an exception, but still the same point applies to some extent. Because Mikel Arteta gets the final say. In summer, we heard numerous reports that there were arguments and disagreements in the Arsenal hierarchy about Calafiori and Merino. They said that hierarchy thinks Merino is not the right man for the midfielder role. They said that Calafiori is too injury prone, there were issues about that, and he would not fit the left back role properly. But the reason we signed both of them, and it also has been said, is because Mikel Arteta said, I want those guys, go and get them. So he wanted those players. And now here we are. Calafiori is benched, obviously injury prone all the time, doesn't play too consistently, but when he can play, he is benched because of a Helen graduate Miles Lewis-Skelly. Merino, who should be playing as a midfielder, we have stuck him up top as a striker. A guy who has never ever in his career played as a striker in his 27, 28 years of playing football. All of a sudden you make him play as a striker. And he's actually doing quite decently there. Which makes Havertz's signing of 65 million look 10 times worse. Because Merino in the box with the ball looks more composed, somehow more natural there, and he can finish more consistently. That's the even more embarrassing part. A guy who plays midfield, number 6, number 8, his whole life, is better at playing at striker than a guy who's been a forward attacking player his whole life. And I mean Havertz here. Like, where does that make any sense? Anyhow, let's quickly run through the interview and then we're gonna do predicted starting 11. An Everton game and all that stuff. On losing Gabriel to injury, it was a tough one to digest because we just got Bukayo back and then we lost Gabi. So it was tough, but the team reacted like it has reacted all season. I'm really proud of that, and we know that he's going to be out for a while, till next season. So we need to find the different solutions, and again with the internal solutions, and keep competing the way we have been all season. On having to find solutions to problems, well, you get paid 15 million a year, you better find something. We have to be, because we've come so far and now we have the most important, beautiful part of the season. We have to react to those things, and that means that other players are going to have opportunities to play, and the team has to find other ways. It's a big miss, undoubtedly, but we have the resources to cope with that. Well, yeah. The thing is, resources to cope with that, we don't. Let's be real, we don't. 800 million spent, attack is where? Midfield unbalanced as hell, and defense is on its last strings, let's be real. Anyways, on whether Calafiori could be back, Calafiori is not fit, and that means in the last week or so we have lost 4 players, and that's obviously a big task. But let's see how Ben and Jurien are tomorrow, and that's it. We must keep playing and competing the way we have been. On if White and Timber could be fit for Everton tomorrow, early kickoff, there is a chance. Yes. And that is actually, to some extent, some positive news. Because given all the negativity, all the injuries, knocks we have, having White and Timber back is actually quite nice. At the same time, Timber was ill during international break, so he's not in the best of forms. And White was injured and he's now back, so he also is not in the best of forms. And in what? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. In 4 days we play one of the most important games we have had. Arteta is gonna play arguably the most important game he has ever played as an Arsenal coach, as an Arsenal manager, against the Real Madrid, biggest team in the world. 15 million a year for that. Oh bloody hell. Anyways, on whether he would risk them with Real Madrid up next. The problem is that we have a few of those calls. To be honest, he cannot afford not to, because we have nobody to play unless we play players out of position again, unless we see Partey as a right back. Maybe Miles Lewis-Skelly as a right back and Tierney as a left back tomorrow, or Zinchenko as a left back, Kivior at center back next to Saliba. It's gonna be rough defense tomorrow. So we're gonna go into decide this evening or tomorrow very early in the morning which players can play and for how long especially. And that is also a big thing. Game management from Mikel Arteta has been quite woeful, to say the least. We've been banging and raving and being angry about this for the longest time. Throughout his whole reign at Arsenal, let's be real. And now that shit has hit the fan, he has nobody to play, all of a sudden he thinks that he needs to manage minutes. Make it make sense. On Saka being back, it's like always, after coming through a difficult situation, really nice one can appear. Okay, cool. Moving on. On how long Saka could play for against Everton to get ready for Madrid. The only focus now is what we have to do. We know how tough Goodison Park is and we experienced it. Yeah, our Goodison Park record is not the greatest in recent years. Even though we have won it there, we also have lost. And Everton is one of those teams we tend to struggle against very heavily. They get very physical, very tough with us, straight into the bone. And Arsenal don't do well against teams that play very physical, very heavy football against them. And that has been proven even under Arsene Wenger and also under Mikel Arteta. So tomorrow we could see a very rough and very unpleasant game. One wrong tackle from Tarkowski, Gyökeres or someone else, and Saka could go, Timber could go, something could happen. That is also a big worry. And the team that goes there struggles, and tomorrow we are going to have to be really strong. The best way to prepare for Madrid is to win and play really well tomorrow. Well, no argument about that. Visiting Goodison Park one last time, it will be very special, blah blah blah. On whether he'll get warm welcome when he returns, I think blah blah blah. On AI, reports suggesting he's the best looking manager in the Premier League. How does this question concern the Everton game? How? Maybe next thing you're gonna ask is what is his go-to meal after a win, after the game, or what? My mom and dad should be very proud of the job they did. That's good to know. Thank you. Well, cool. On Saka Odegaard connection, that chemistry, that bond, that relationship is something very special. Obviously, we missed it. They played 20 minutes and games together. That flows naturally, flows in the right way. Well, it's hard not to flow that way, given that when Saka is out, Odegaard spends most of his time on the right. He genuinely, it's like magnet out there that he drifts out to that side. How comes he almost never drifts to the left? Only to the right. The other day we had to play Ethan. He made the assists. He contributed in his own way, so we have options. Now hopefully we are going to have more and more from here to the end of the season. On the camaraderie and the environment around the club. I can talk about that, what I've seen there, and the feeling I have, and me personally, every time I wake up in the morning, that I'm desperate to go through those doors and start to share our day with everybody. So, guys, trust me guys, I woke up at 5 a.m. guys. I made coffee guys. I put some gel in my hair guys. I squeezed a lemon guys, and I had a shower guys. Hot steamy shower guys. Now I drove to work guys, and now we have training session guys. Let's focus up guys before I call more pickpockets guys. Say hello to Win the Dog guys, and let's go guys. That's it. Share your day. What the hell is that? On imposing our game against Everton. Yeah. On Kevin De Bruyne leaving Manchester City. Yeah, by the way, today Kevin De Bruyne announced that he's leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. Most likely he's gonna go to Saudi by the looks of things. But yeah, the legend of Man City, no shadow about that, and one of the best in Premier League. Damn. On if Real Madrid is the bigger game than Everton. No, that's wrong. The biggest game for us is Everton, and the best way to prepare for Real Madrid. To be honest, yeah, playing against Everton, it's very mixed because on one hand you want to rotate, on the other hand you want to win and get momentum for the Real Madrid game. So it's a bit of a rough one. Personally, I want to win the game no matter what. Preferably without injuries, of course. On playing Declan Rice as a center half. Oh, against center back. Here we go. We would for sure. We tried against PSV away last season and he's played in that position. Hopefully it won't be needed. Hopefully it won't be needed. Has all indications that Kivior is gonna play at center back. But if it is, he's a player who is capable of doing that. Okay, on hamstring injuries around the Premier League. Okay. No, it's not specific to Arsenal and it's very difficult to one put finger on just to motivate. Dude, I don't even want to get into that. On reducing the load in training, we can do. The sample is very, very small because last year we were the best team in that aspect, so we'll continue with the same methodology on layer things. And to be honest, it was inevitable. Last year we didn't get injured whatsoever, which was basically meant that if we don't have proper rotation this season, we're gonna get loads of injuries. Everyone saw that. Me as a couch fan, if you like to call it, I saw that. How comes they didn't see that? That is the biggest thing. And now it's the biggest worries. I'm looking at Declan Rice. I'm looking at William Saliba. Even Timber, who has already shown some signs of weakness. They can go down as well every given minute. Because they also play the same amount of games as Saka, as Odegaard, as Gabriel, as the guys who have had long-term injuries, as Havertz. On James Tarkovsky's challenge on Wednesday, nobody cares. It was a red card, PGML screwed off, more controversy about the league, more eyes on the league, more money for the league. Move on. On if players need to take a stance on not having time to train muscle appropriately. On if Gabriel gets the credit he deserves. With us, yes. Overall, I don't think so. I think Gabriel is quite underrated to some extent. But I think that's the person to ask about Gabriel is William Saliba, because that's partnership. When you ask William, so who does he want to play next to him, I think the answer is clear, because he brings qualities, and especially I think he makes his qualities much better. And to be honest, that is true. They complement each other arguably perfectly. One is a really aggressive go-getter who doesn't mind get his fingernails dirty, does the dirty work. Other one is more pleasant to the eye, more like a ballet dancer, more elegant, has more pizzazz and everything. One is more calm, one is more hot-headed, and it works perfectly in balance. Another players needing to step up, become leaders on the pitch, well, that's what they need to do for about 3 years now. None of them have done it. On Berge complimenting our team after Tuesday game, well, it is what it is. On if Saka needs to start tomorrow to get minutes under his belt ahead of Madrid. That's a possibility. So Saka could be starting tomorrow, by the way. Could be starting. It's a possibility, he says. We're going to decide tomorrow. That's the best option for that because it's not only him involved. True. On if he has to think about wrapping him in cotton wool and not playing him. He needs exposure and he's going to have exposure. He played 30 minutes the other day. He felt really well. He scored a goal and he wants more. He's clear into the last 2 days. He's demanding more and he wants more. One thing is, it's kind of nice that he's back. It's kind of nice that he got some game time. But you could see that he still wasn't comfortable running. He was still limping on the pitch, right? The fact that he's saying he's demanding more, this is where Mikel Arteta should be earning his 15 million a year. This is where Arteta should have a backbone to say, I know you want to play, but you've been injured, you just have come back. Don't overstress the muscle and don't overstress yourself. We've seen this loads of times with Arsene Wenger, where he basically sat on the bench, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Robert Pires, when when he saw that they were in the red zone. And let's be real, Bukayo Saka is heavily in the red zone still. So he should be actually able to say, stop it. You cannot overdo it as well. On how he will convince Merino going back to midfield, I already did that because I played him as an 8 the other day when we brought in Leo in, as we discussed that. Yeah, cool, but still Merino has done a better job at striker than Havertz. That is the big thing. And that concludes the interview. Now, here we go. Predicted starting 11 for the game. This could get kinda dicey, I'm not gonna lie. This could get a bit dicey to some extent. Actually, wait. I'm gonna do it like this. Yeah, like this. This could get dicey, I'm not gonna lie. Spot on. We have gone back-to-back seasons finishing second with barely any injuries. Common sense would say we need cover to keep. Exactly. That is the biggest thing. One of the biggest reasons why Liverpool, after winning Champions League and Premier League that one insane season, didn't go onwards was because they won it and they just went forwards without actually having backups and future plans for when Fabinho leaves, when Firmino leaves, Mane leaves, when Van Dijk is gonna get older. Obviously now they have Quansah, they have Bradley, they have players they can try, obviously. But for example, they still haven't replaced Fabinho. Yes, Gravenberch is playing there. He's doing a very good job there. But he is not Fabinho. He's not a proper number 6. They need a proper number 6, whether you like it or not. They haven't replaced Firmino. They are looking at players, but they haven't. They haven't replaced Mane properly as well still. Yes, they have Diaz, Gakpo who can play there, but they are not it. So they are as well. They haven't replaced Robertson, which is the massive one. Obviously, because Tsimikas as well is not it. And now they have to replace also Trent. So they did the same thing Arsenal did. We finished 2 times second. And we didn't find proper backups and everything to keep the squad fresh. Keep it going, re-energize and everything. Liverpool won it all and did the same thing we just did. And it's evident that Arsenal are not learning from that. Mikel Arteta didn't learn from that. And that is one of the biggest issues because Mikel Arteta makes the same mistakes. Same mistakes he made 5 years ago, 5.5, when he just signed for Arsenal, as he does today. Which just shows that he's not learning. Which is a big, big, big issue. Anyhow, starting 11. I'm gonna put in players that are pretty much guaranteed to be playing in specific positions. After that, I need help. I generally think I need help. I need help to figure this out. So those 6 players, I think, are gonna play no matter what. Rest of the spots are under massive, massive question marks for me. Because as Mikel Arteta said, Timber and White, he decides this evening or tomorrow. Which basically most likely means that Kivior is gonna play as a center back. Most likely, right? Left back spot, against Fulham for the last 15 minutes or so, it kinda looked like Miles Lewis-Skelly was out of breath. He looked tired, he made some sloppy passes, he had some sloppy mistakes which he kinda never makes. Which again leads me to believe that he's also drained, which also makes me want to give him some time off. Some rest, right? So this is the big thing. Right wing as well, what we gonna do with Saka? Right back, who's gonna play there? I have no idea how to do this. And why Partey's spot is open is mostly because if White cannot play, bigger chances than anything, Partey is gonna be at right back. Which means number 6 row is gonna be filled by Jorginho. Those are the questions I'm trying to figure out right now. That for me is the biggest thing. I would like to have like an idea how this thing could go. But in perfect world, I don't even know. I'm not gonna lie, I would start Zinchenko as a left back. I would. Give Miles Lewis Skelly a day off. Or sub him on for the last 15-20 minutes potentially. But give him time off. He needs a rest, especially before Madrid. Now, the big thing is, I have no idea how this could look, or rather this would be the case how it could and will look, right? I have no idea. But this is a big possibility we could see that tomorrow. However, I can also see this. I can also see this happening, which is a big no-no for me. But if Timber and White are not ready to play, I can see Thomas Partey being played as a right back, despite the fact that he's our best midfielder. One thing though, I wouldn't mind doing this. Would you say this is actually gonna work? This could work against Everton? Could this work against Everton? Raya in goal, Partey as a right back, Saliba Kivior center back, Tierney as a left back, Rice in the 6, Zinchenko in the 8, Odegaard in the 10, Vangieri on the right, Martinelli on the left, and Merino as the striker. Could that be the case how we're gonna do things? Obviously, for me personally, I think that this could work. The biggest thing is, and as Evie is saying, if Partey plays right back, lock the game off. And that is one of the biggest things. We have won, I think, one, maybe 2 games overall from all the games when we have had Partey as a right back. That is the biggest concern for me. Because one thing I'm 100% sure, I don't want to see Partey as a right back against Real Madrid. Because I'm already picturing the nightmares I'm gonna see with Thomas Partey trying to play against Vinicius. And I'm already having a headache looking at the fact that Mbappe is going to play against Kivior. So, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Big up my boss. Big up Mob. How you doing? Gyökeres is open to Arsenal move. According to AI, Arteta is the best looking manager in the Premier League. And of course, injury chaos. That's what, and the other things kind of went over a lot, by the way, today on the stream. I actually like that really, really much. Went over Zubimendi, went over Gyökeres, went over Sales, potential ones, and everything. At the moment, doing starting 11 against Everton. Okay. Wild thought. Could this work? Could this work? For one game, could this work? Tierney as a right back. What you make of the report that there are average 4 hamstring injuries per week in the Premier League? It's insane. Insane. Insane to say the least. Insane. However, I don't think it's a coincidence that grade 3 hamstring injuries that require surgery are about 3% of all the hamstring injuries footballers get, right? And Arsenal have had 3 in 1 year. That is not a coincidence. That is on Mikel Arteta. not signing proper backups, not managing the players properly over the years, and everything. That and training, of course. That is on Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. But yeah, could that work for one game? That right back spot is really throwing me off because the Timber White situation is really still unknown. But knowing Mikel Arteta, we most likely are going to see this. One thing, I would play Zinchenko just solely to give Mousley Skelly a break. Because, as I said, against Fulham in the last 15 minutes or so, he looked very tired, very sloppy. He's been overplayed due to injuries, and given the fact that Mikel Arteta doesn't trust Zinchenko and Tierney, moron, Skelly has been overrun. So yeah. I don't know what to expect. I genuinely don't. These defensive issues we have right now is really throwing spanner in the works. He had an injury, knee injury or something, I don't know. But he got an injury and Mikel Arteta said that he still doesn't know who is gonna play. Timber or White could play tomorrow. He's gonna assess this evening and tomorrow morning. Which basically leads me to believe that he doesn't even have a clue if any of them is ready to play. That for me is the biggest issue here. So, I have no clue, no idea. But if Timber can play, I guess he will have to play. But for one game only, I wouldn't be against this. For one game only, I wouldn't be against this. I'm not gonna lie. Just putting it out there. Looks that way. Definitely he's gonna play tomorrow. Gonna see how he does and then we gonna assess. But it looks that way, for now at least. We're gonna have Kivior versus Mbappe. Fucking hell. And Rodrigo on the right. But yeah. I actually wouldn't mind putting this 11 out against Everton tomorrow. League is done anyways, we cannot win it. Finishing second and third, for me personally, who gives a crap? So we might as well maybe put something like this out and see what happens and see what sticks. But yeah, personally, we'll have to wait and see. For me, for game tomorrow, my prediction for tomorrow's game, I cannot decide between 1-0 Arsenal or 2-1 Arsenal. I cannot decide between those two results. Given our defensive issues, I would say Everton has a chance at scoring, right? Given our attack issues and the fact that Gabriel is out, I'm not too sure we can score 2 goals to some extent. So, yeah. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go 2-1 Arsenal. For tomorrow's game, I'm going 2-1 Arsenal. And I wouldn't mind putting this 11 out tomorrow. Give Luis Skelly a break and stuff like that. Give Timber and White a break. If Partey plays at right back, it is what it is, as long as he doesn't get injured, of course. So that is the biggest issue right there. Put Rice in the 6. Let Saka still come off from the bench. Give him maybe more minutes than he did against Fulham, but give him more minutes. And then see if he can start against Madrid. Maybe. That is how I see it, at least. Even though I wouldn't want Saka to play at all, to be honest, to some extent. But yeah. I think on that note, we have covered everything. I generally believe we have covered everything. Big up Charles. Yeah, it's been a long time. Big up Charles. Charles Xavier. Big up Charles. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm gonna end the stream. We have covered a lot today. Gyökeres, Zubimendi, other players, transfers, signings, sales. Talked about Arteta, Berta. Read the interview, discussed some in-depth issues at Arsenal. We have talked a lot, and you've been quite fantastic as well. I've been sick for quite some time. I've been ill, flu or something. I have no idea. I'm still not recovered, by the way. But hey, grind needs to go on. In it. Hope you have been. How you have been. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm gonna end today's stream. If you haven't already, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave your thoughts down in comments below if you're watching this as a playback. 100%. Could not agree more. But yeah, for today, I'm gonna sign out. See you tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK time. Gonna do an Everton game, afterthoughts and everything, and see what else is brought up. And please, for the love of God, avoid every possible injury. Take care, stay safe. See you all tomorrow.